Thank you. So, hi, everybody. Welcome back to another NAAP Happy Hour. My name is Greg Gentry. I'm a domestic infant adoptee from the baby scoop era. And Adoption Happy Hour is brought to you by NAAP. We're the National Association of Adoptees and Parents. And our mission is to unify the adoption community and elevate our diverse voices by promoting dialogue, understanding, and healing through education, awareness, and connection. So we have a great program for you here. In just a minute, we'll get started with some announcements, but I'd like to again to thank everybody for being here to support our guests, which I'm happy to say we'll be talking about a really important film that's coming out. And I know you'll be eager as I am to hear updates on the release and how things are going with the production of that. So Beth, would you like to start with the bylines? Thank you. So again, we are the National Association of Adoptees and Parents. Please remain on mute. Raise your hand on screen or the virtual hand, which is by the reactions button at the bottom or of your Zoom screen. And you may post comments or questions in the chat, which we do encourage. Those are always helpful and appreciated. And please remember, if you are experiencing a serious mental health event or suicidal thoughts, contact a licensed professional or the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline by dialing 988. And a reminder that this is a public meeting with no guarantee that information or identity is confidential. Portions of this event are recorded and may be shared in our private happy hour group on the Facebook channel, on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. So with that, Beth, are there any announcements we have?
Yes, we want to remind everyone about NAAP's programming. Whether you are here for the first time or you pop in from time to time or you're here every week, we always want to do some reminders. Happy Hour will come to you the first and the third Friday night of each month. Greg Gentry is our host, and we have a variety of guests each time who are involved in, active in, contributing to the adoption community. We also have several other programs. The next one that will be up is Amy Seek with First Families, Birth Parents Journeying Together. They will meet next Thursday, May 8th. After that, then we will have another happy hour on the 15th. And then our reunion support group, Putting Yourself Together After Reunion with Dr. Joyce, will meet on the 20th. That's on a Tuesday each month, usually the second or the third Tuesday, and we're on the 20th in May. And then we close out each month with Migrating Toward Wholeness, Rewriting Adoption Narratives in the Constellation. That is facilitated by Dr. Liz DeBetta, and they will be meeting on the 22nd of May. So you can see that nearly every week of each month, there is an opportunity to meet with the adoption community through NAAP's programming. That is it for me, Greg.
Thank you very much, Beth. So I'm really excited to introduce our guests tonight. We have Renee Gelin from Saving Our Sisters and Lisa Elaine Scott. She's the director of a film that I'm sure many of us have heard about, titled All You Have Is Love, The Untold Story of America's Infant Adoption Industry, a very important film, I believe, that's going to be coming out shortly. We're excited to hear from both of them about updates to the production phase of the film and the promotional piece of it. And we look forward to hearing everything you have to share. So welcome to Renee and to Lisa.
Well, thank you so much, Greg, and thank you everybody for being here. I'm just going to start off with a little bit. Some of you probably know something about the film, some of you may not. So I just want to do a little brief summary of what the film is about and why it's important. So let's see, I want to share my screen now. I've got a couple of slides, just a couple, not my usual 20 slide deck. So let's see, give me 1 second and we'll share. And I'll bring, okay. Oh, here we go. It's already there. Okay, let me just go to slideshow. All right, here we go. So this is one of our beautiful new images. We have several others coming along because I've got a wonderful artist working on some artwork for us for the film. So let me go. All right, here we go. This is a slide I like to share whenever I talk about the film. I want everybody to understand what it is we're trying to do. So All You Have Is Love, the untold story of America's infant adoption industry, will explore the relationship between resourceless women and the multi-billion-dollar U.S. infant adoption industry. Our theme, it is unethical to destroy one family to create another. Family building is not an acceptable reason for adoption. This is our point of view and the point of view of the film. Our message, family preservation is adoption reform. Okay, I'll just speak personally here for a second. I'm not interested in fixing adoption or reforming it or, helping to make it better. I want fewer infant adoptions. We speak of necessary and unnecessary, right? And I think everybody can agree. And I think, common sense plays a part, which is why I'm so excited to be sharing this film with people who don't know anything about adoption, because I do believe that common sense will rise to the occasion, okay? And people will see what's happening and decide that this is not the way to build families, okay, with other people's children. So where did I leave off here? Okay, mothers who want to parent their children should have access to support and resources. Adoption does not guarantee a better life for anyone, and family separation should always be the last resort. We believe in the right to parent the children we have. Our approach, we will bring the unheard voices of adoption into the mainstream narrative. We will focus on the current industry tactics with a particular emphasis on the myth that open adoption is the answer and makes everyone, oops, oh my gosh, I thought I corrected this slide. I apologize. Let me take this down right now. Makes everyone happy and okay. We know that that is not true. Sometimes I play around with these slides and then I don't. So I'm trying, there we go. Okay, well, we all know it's not true, right? All right, so I'm done with my slides and I'm done sharing. Let me just get back to this. All right, hi, I'm back. Let me now just tell you why I want to tell you why this film is important to make. All right. Two main things that we want to accomplish with this film, and that is to stop allowing the adoption industry, the infant adoption industry, from totally owning the narrative for forever. It's never been any different. And a lot of you may know from personal experience or from talking with others, most often in these open adoptions, the first families, the first mothers, they are silenced. They feel that they cannot talk, they cannot share their stories, they cannot tell anyone. And that enables the industry to put on the happy face. And, I, along with Renee, and, she can speak to this as well, and maybe others here in this room, we've gone to conferences, excuse me, we've been to events where they parade out the birth moms, right? And and sometimes they talk about how it's hard, but they always add that it's beautiful. I've never been to one yet. I have talked at this point to dozens and dozens of first mothers and family members as well, who have told me, they've been so courageous and I'm so grateful to them. They've shared with me so much pain and turmoil. I have never seen one of these women or one of these family members up on these stages. Okay, and I want to change that. It's time to tell the whole story. Okay, so that's like number one, why this film is important. Number two is that we're going to be featuring the work that's being done by Saving Our Sisters and others in terms of family preservation. Because I think if we're giving, the viewer the whole story, right? Now they're going to learn, they're going to find out what it's like for first families and adoptees, things that they never knew. And now they're going to see that there's actually solutions to this. Okay. And that's what the film is going to be about. I mean, there's a lot more, and we can talk about it. We've got a lot of time here this evening, and I'm certainly looking forward to questions. But that's just a real general overview. And for me, the two most important points of the film, right? And so let me give you just a quick update here. The film is scheduled to be released in early 2026. Okay. But this is only if everything goes exactly to plan, which I'm planning that it will. All right. I must stay positive and I do. But we need to raise more money. I have, the last couple years has been we've done some shooting, we've done quite a bit of really good production, but it's also been mostly about research. I mean, I had to research, I had to talk to people, I had to interview people to understand how to make this film, what needs to go in it, and who should be featured, right? But that time, we're at the end. I've done all the research, I've got a wonderful group of people ready to speak, ready to be interviewed, wonderful stories to tell, important stories to tell. But we're now to that point where production is really we've got to really step it up. I would like to shoot throughout the summer. Well, I will shoot throughout the summer, let me put it that way. And that's going to enable us to release this after the beginning of the year. We'll be editing simultaneously. I already have a couple of editors working with me. But then we'll really focus on editing during the fall and through the holidays and then maybe into the new year. And then, we should have something February, March of 2026. So having said all that, I want to mention that we are going to be doing a lot of fundraising throughout the month of May. We had an event the other night. We're going to be on several other podcasts, and we have a crowdfunding campaign that's going to be launching in a couple of days. There's a couple technical snafus. It happens. But tonight I have an opportunity for everybody here, anyone here who can donate. What I have planned is that if you go to allyouhaveIsLove.com, that is the website for the film. There is a I mean, it's like this big because I put it up there myself, and it's a donate button. And if you click on that donate button, it will take you straight to our beloved fiscal sponsors, Saving Our Sisters. Okay. So it's tax deductible. You will be taken to their donate page, and tonight, very special for everybody here, anybody who is able to donate $50 or more will get a signed copy of everybody's favorite book, Gretchen Sisson's Relinquished, a signed copy for $50 if you go, let's just say by midnight tonight, right? I've never run an event like this where I'm asking for funds, but I think that's what I've heard before midnight tonight, and you will get your signed copy of Relinquished. Okay. So the only thing that I would ask you to do if you do that, there is a special instructions box on the page. So now you're at the SOS page, the interface, you're going to make the donation, put your address in there so that we can send you the signed copy. And also, I might mention, I know a lot of you might have this book already. I know I've got a couple copies, but this would be a signed copy. So if you don't have one, maybe you want to get that and then give the other as a gift, or give the signed copy as a gift, whatever you see fit. So that's just my first fundraising pitch of the evening. Might do one or two more. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. But so right now, I'd love for Renee to hop on, talk a little bit about her involvement with the film, talk about Saving Our Sisters, and then we'll watch a little video in a few minutes.
Well, great introduction. And thanks for having us, NAAP. You all are fabulous and good to see a lot of familiar faces, but I do see new faces. So this is good stuff. I don't know how many of you know of SOS. Maybe you all do, but I am a first mom. I'll just give a little introduction. I'm a first mom. As mentioned here, open adoption closed. My son is now a teen, and I'm just hanging out awaiting reunion. Fingers crossed, right? No guarantees, and I'll take whatever comes our way. So, but I just decided that it was not going to be my. Uh, it wasn't. It wasn't going to work for me to be quiet. And after that open adoption closed, I was like, what can they do to me now? Right? They've kind of. There's nothing left. They're not going to take my other kids, and I need to stop this from kind of happening to other people. That is my whole goal. I never planned this to be this national thing, but here we are, and I am really thankful that it has. We've made a lot of difference in a lot of families' lives. Um, it's helping me, and I think it helps a lot of us who are on the board and a lot of us who are actually volunteers with us as well. So Lisa can talk a little bit about that. You'll see, I think, a little bit of that in the film. She's actually recently been a two-time volunteer helping with recovering some babies from one was a prospective adoptive couple and the other was an actual adoption agency who, by way of the prospective adoptive couple, ended up giving the baby back. So our goal is really to get to moms that are considering adoption, and be there to help them so that we don't have to do those recoveries. The recoveries are not what we want, right? It's extremely emotional for everyone involved. And let's face it, the industry knows exactly what they're doing and they manipulate everybody, right? They are literally chasing the dollars. And so we're just here to really educate. I mean, our focus, of course, is moms, but we've had some prospective adoptive parents who have kind of found us trying to educate themselves and all of a sudden realized, yeah, this is not what I want to do. And they've become volunteers and have actually helped with recoveries and helped with moms be that sister on the ground, as we call them. So it's pretty amazing. It's really some powerful stuff. And I think the film, to Lisa's point, as she mentioned, is really showing that we've got a model. Our model is literally doing exactly what the adoption agencies and the adoption entities do. We just have a different outcome, right? Our goal is to get all the information from them, just like an agency does or an attorney does. But instead of using that all against them and using their fears against them, we're there to eliminate and remove those fears and just stand beside them and teach them how to fish, really, right? That's kind of one of the main things is I was talking with some of my work group today, and we're reading Mel Robbins' "Let Them" as a team, and we were talking about you can't make anybody do anything, and that is kind of the setting of the expectation, right? I can't make anyone do anything. I can't make anyone parent their kid. That's not our goal. Our goal is to educate and provide the information so that people can make informed decisions and that there is no coercion. We explain what all of that is. And, our goal is just to be there for them and walk beside them. So I'm anxious for you to see this new footage. It's pretty powerful stuff. Some of it, there's a little bit of old footage in it, I think. Is this the old footage, Lisa? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
So the first thing I'm going to show is that the 5-minute trailer, just that really, I think, gives a good feel for the tone of the film. And then we'll I wasn't planning to show it's too long.
Okay.
The new one, but I'll show a couple more clips at the end.
Okay, great. Yeah. So it's good stuff.
Okay, so are we ready for that? This is what I'd like to show you now is a 5-minute concept trailer. As I already said, I've been doing a lot of research. We've been in the pre-production and then the production phase for a little while now. And during that phase, I've talked to a lot of people. I've interviewed a lot of people. Often I will do it on Zoom just to have the interview informal. And just as I'm doing, the research. And so I've been able to use some of those interviews to put together what I call concept videos, which the purpose of them is to say, this is what's possible. Okay. The other thing I want to mention, and I'll keep saying this probably throughout the evening, why is this film important? I mean, it will get made because I don't see any other outcome at this point. It has to, because I want to help people connect the dots. Again, think about the viewers who know nothing about infant adoption in America. Most of you probably have had this experience. I know I've had it a million times. I should mention I'm an adopted person. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But for those of you who don't know, I apologize. Sometimes I forget up front. But yes, I'm an adopted person. I've lived this my entire life. And I have found that most people think, when they think of adoption, they think of foster care. They immediately go to the languishing child, the child that needs a home. Sure. Nobody's going to argue with that. Nobody wants a child to languish in a foster home or some terrible situation. That's not what we're talking about. And I know, and if you don't, I'm here to tell you, most people do not know anything about this industry. They don't know it exists. They don't know about infants. I guess they assume that every time they meet someone who's adopted an infant, that the child, needed a home, right? But we know differently. We know that what the mother needed was resources in most cases. And of course, all of this is most times, right? Nothing is always or never or forever or whatever. But still, what keeps coming back to me is the fact that even though there are some cases where maybe adoption is really what the mother wants, she's determined and that's going to be the result, those are the only stories we hear. And that's my point to this, is that with all of the hundreds and thousands of other stories out there where the mothers are saying, it's not what I wanted, some of them, I'm trying to think of all the mothers I've talked to. I mean, most of them changed their mind. I don't know that that's even the best way to put it, but they did it almost immediately. And we know why. We understand why these adoption entities want that signature lickety split. I mean, that's their goal, because once they get that signature, they know that they're for the most part in the clear. Okay. And they do know that certain things, and Renee can talk more about this later. She's the expert on this. I've learned this all from her, okay? And from the moms I've talked to. The entities, the adoption professionals, they know the certain process that these moms are going through, and when she's at her lowest point, when she's at her weakest, when she's the most vulnerable. And they take advantage of that. And then once these moms are able to get their feet back under them, it's too late. All right. So that's what people have to come to understand. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going on and on because I get really passionate about this, but I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to click on that.
Don't forget to click that setting too, right?
I did, but you know what? There's a problem, because it's doing the same thing it did to me the other day. I apologize, everybody. It's telling me, give me 1 second. Let me try something. Zoom is not always my friend. Okay, maybe it's letting me. Let's give this a whirl. You'll let me know on the other side if the sync was not 100%. All right, here we go.
July 19th, 2008.
January 6th, 2003.
February 27th, 1999.
No one had ever suggested to me, this is going to be sad. Your daughter's going to miss you.
And had one person said, you can still do all the things that you want to do and be the person that you want to be and raise him, I would have absolutely done that.
I don't know that this story will ever get easy to tell. It is the greatest tragedy of my life.
Thank you, God, for the gift of adoption. Help our world to see its beauty.
Private adoption can cost upwards of $40,000 for the new family.
Domestic supply of infants has become virtually non-existent.
Where adoption occurs, we see resourceless women over and over
Why don't
again.
the safe haven laws take care of that?
Now we're going to learn a little bit more from a local adoption consultant who actually helps families find the babies of their dreams.
It's a marketplace in which the people who have money will get what they want, and everybody else can suffer from it.
Adopted, I know the trauma it can inflict.
It's not about babies, it's about supply and demand.
Coercion is necessary today because so few women relinquish children to adoption.
They had to tell us what we wanted to hear in order to acquire my child because it was transactional.
And your open adoption closed. Absolutely.
Some was just saying, leave the situation alone. And some was saying, fight for your child.
It's awful that women in that position feel like that their only hope, that the best option is another family who maybe has more money or isn't going through a crisis.
No one wants a child to languish in an abusive and neglectful home. That's not what we're doing here. At SOS, we make sure that mom is making an informed decision, understands her rights, and really knows what the potential outcomes are.
Friday, November 27th, I had my baby girl. My boyfriend pressured me into this adoption. We're trying to get her back.
Manipulating. Goodbye. Goodbye. Go fuck yourself. Goodbye.
I contacted SOS, and that's when I met Miss Renee, the lifesaver.
Renee helped me put together a letter that we gave to the adoption agency that said, you know, I don't want anything else from you.
Our goal is to prevent those unnecessary separations and those unnecessary adoptions.
That's not for us.
Unfortunately, dying can't be on the document. Still, loving home, you have given them an incredible gift.
I ended up putting myself through school. I own a private massage practice now. I have an amazing relationship with Kingston's dad. And I did it.
I feel like it's the birthday of school. It's like when you can't go to sleep, you're so happy, you're so anxious. Just it feels good.
June 9th, 1980.
January 19th, 1990.
June 24th, 1973, 2:52 a.m.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, there you have it. I already got the message that it was a little out of sync. I apologize. I don't know what's going on. This is something new. I've done this 10, 20 times before, and I'm not sure what's going on. So I do apologize. I hope you all got the gist of it and it wasn't too bad to watch. That's, that's a glimpse of some of the information that's going to be available to people who get to see this film when it comes out. We've got moms who are going to talk about the coercion. We have one mom, a couple of people are going to be anonymous because even now they can't, they're afraid to speak out and be identified. Why? Because they are in ongoing open adoptions. All of them have already seen their adoptions close gradually. And it's a mixed bag. Again, this is Renee. Renee's got tons of information on this. I mean, some of them close immediately, almost immediately. Some of them close like snap shut. Some of them are very, kind of a slippery slope kind of thing. And these moms have to walk on eggshells and be afraid. As an adoptee, I've been getting kind of worked up lately. I'm not gonna lie, as an adoptee, none of this is necessary, and it's harmful. It's harmful to families. It's harmful to the people who, like myself, who are adopted and lose, connection with their family. In my case, I'll tell you a little bit about my story. Some of you may know it, but I know there are some new people here tonight. I'm a baby scoop era adoptee. I was relinquished in 1959, adopted at 2 months. I do not know where I was for 2 months, and I'll say a little more about that in a second. What did my mother, why did my mother relinquish me? And yes, we were in reunion. She was 19 years old in 1959. Think about that. And she had nowhere to go. Where she was staying, and this is a very common story. Fast forward 65 years, I hear this today. When you hear about a birth mother, first mother, being homeless, often they're homeless because they're pregnant. Where they're staying somewhere. And then what are they told? Oh, I'm sorry, you can't bring that baby here. And maybe it's even valid. In every case, I don't know, maybe they can't. There's a reason, maybe whatever. But that's the point. That's when they are now become homeless. So that was my mother's situation. She we had a place to stay with my father, as a matter of fact. Oh boy, am I really going here? All right, I don't know. But she was told, you cannot bring that baby home. They were not married. Again, she was 19. I think he was 22, something like that. And they were living with his mother, my paternal grandmother, and she was not having it. Okay, there you go. So what was a 19-year-old in 1959 to do? So she did finally sign the papers, and my adoptive parents, adopted me at 2 months. I had good adoptive parents. They were wonderful people. Okay. Wonderful people. You would have loved them. They would give you the shirt off their back. I was lucky. I have come to believe over the years that the best thing an adoptive parent can do is to mitigate the damage. Like for me, that's the definition of a good adoptive parent. They recognize the damage and they are willing to mitigate it in whatever ways. And my parents didn't do a great job of it because, for one thing, it was a long time ago, and it wasn't, therapy wasn't that readily available. Those poor people. The other thing, and this isn't maybe so common anymore, but it was very common in my day. My parents were old. They tried for 12 years to get pregnant. And then finally they were told that that's not going to happen. My poor father was 45 years old when I was adopted. And I've often thought that he did it for my mom. When I turned 45, he was already passed away, or I would have said it to him personally. I just remember kind of looking up and going, I'm sorry, Dad, because the last thing I would want right now is an infant, you know. And my mom was quite a bit younger than him. And you know, but still, she was no spring chicken because, again, they tried for 12 years, right? Then they adopted my brother, and it was 4.5 years in between my brother and I. So, so why don't I know, you know, where I was for 2 months? And this really bothers me. You know, I'm sure it would bother anybody. Um, so I reunited with my birth mom, Gail, and it was great. You know, it was great. We had wonderful times together. When I walked into her apartment at the age of 40, okay, and this is where I'm starting to get, you know, a little angry when I talk about this. I was 40 years old by the time I met my mother. And and when I walked into her apartment, it was like walking into my own apartment. Today, sitting here, you seeing me talk, listening to me talk, you are hearing and seeing my mother, Gail, not my adoptive mother, Bernice. Okay. Now, sure. Do I still, you know, sure. I'm grateful again to my parents being good, teaching me good values and empathy and caring about people. I'm very grateful for that. My first mother also had those qualities, I should add. Um, but I express Gail. I hear sometimes, and she had this kind of weird thing in her voice, and every now and then it just comes out, and I'm like, oh, that's her. That's, you know, and it's wonderful. I don't mean to, I'm not cringing, but it was kind of an annoying little thing she did. But anyway, but I don't care. I would have liked to have grown up with that, you know? And then I know I'm going on and on. Let's see what time it is. Okay, I'm gonna finish up with this. The other thing that makes me really angry about all of this is that my kids and my grandkids also suffer as a result of my family separation. Um, they have lost so much genetic mirroring of their own, and it pains me. And it, you know, it's just, it's really hard. And it's caused problems. I'm just going to say it has definitely caused problems in my family. Okay, so Renee, I'm going to throw it to you now, and maybe we want to talk a little bit about the recoveries or whatever you want to talk about. And then I'll show one more video, and then I think we go to questions at the top of the hour, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I will, you know, and
Yeah, I can talk to some of the moms in the film. So I'll start with Jasmine. She's the one who said, I did it. Ah, sorry. Makes me cry every time. Still, um, she did it. It was Kingston was her fourth, and she just panicked. And she was connected to Bethany. And thankfully that one, you know, was not, it didn't have to be a recovery. She had started reaching out and then found, you know, in one of the social media groups that she found SOS. So I'm sorry. But so you know, I just talked to her, right? We just talk about what this really is like, um, and that they need to try. If nothing else, they at least should try, right? I don't get to tell my son that I tried, and that is one of the biggest regrets that is so easily preventable, right? If we can just be there for that short amount of time. And with her, I didn't even have somebody local to her. Like it was literally just us talking over the phone. Back when she had Kingston, I think he's going to be 8 now, 7. Um, you know, we weren't on doing the Zoom thing. It was pre-COVID, right? All that stuff. And now we do a lot of videoing and video calls and things with our moms. Um, but she did it. She's doing great. And she told you, you know, what her outcome was. She just needed that breath. And so the big thing is to get these adoption entities out of the hospitals. That is our big goal, right? That's the number one goal. And I'll go to Tier next. She's the mom with red braids, and her daughter you saw was a toddler. She was not a baby, Her case, she reached out to me about a week after she had signed, and it was just a crazy thing. It was COVID time, so they didn't let her husband, she was actually married, in the hospital. And she, so he couldn't get on, he couldn't sign the acknowledgement of parentage, so he was not on the birth certificate. Well, by the time she reached out to me, it was only a couple of weeks, and I said, by now, right, I've been doing this like 14 years or so. I know the system. I know what to do, right? So I said, well, this is easy. You're married, right? She said, yeah. I said, well, we're just going to file to add him to the birth certificate. And that's what we did. And so then it worked, right? To an extent. They still had to go to court, and he fought for 3 years. 3 years. To get their child back. And Lisa actually was there, and that's how we got the footage, because she was there for the recovery. But it was horrible. It was horrible. But if she, that was the saving grace. And the attorneys kept saying, who is this person who told you to do that? Like, that is amazing. But it's all about just knowing the process, which is something else that this industry does not want anyone to understand. And I drew a few years back for one of my other presentations. I do process work. I'm a strategic consultant by day. So do lots of system implementations and process flows and things like that, right? A good workflow is my happy place, which, kind of reinforced that this industry really messed with the wrong mom, because I've gone in and now I've kind of figured everything out. I've laid it out. I know their process. I know exactly what they do. I know the steps. And so now I can cut them off at the pass, right? So the mom that was crying on the phone in the University of Tennessee sweatshirt, that took me 2 days to get that baby back. And I don't know if you heard in that call, but that adoption worker was telling her, it's too late. You signed, you can't do anything. And what they did was they slipped a piece of paper into her paperwork. The other thing that the industry professionals do is they don't share the paperwork that mom signs ahead of time. They never give them the paperwork. And most of the moms that come to us don't have their paperwork. They don't have anything. They sign it in the hospital, they hand over their kid, and they have nothing. Sometimes they get a check, which is illegal, but they do. And it took me 2 days. And what on that case, that was the first case that was in 2015. That was the first case that I invoked ICPC, because the prospective adoptive parents flew from California to go to Tennessee over Thanksgiving weekend. They did an unscheduled C-section with Michaela, so they could have a long weekend and get their baby. She was, I think Betsy's here. Hi, Betsy. I credit Betsy with this one. Betsy is who found her GoFundMe. Michaela had set up a GoFundMe, and she reached out to me and she's like, "Can you help this mom?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." So I got her paperwork, and they just do so much shady stuff. They had her hours, I'm talking less than 3 hours after giving birth with an unnecessary C-section. They had her sign a document allowing the hospital to release her child to the prospective adoptive parents, and they left. They left the hospital that same day with her baby. And she sat in the hospital alone for 2 days by herself, recovering. I mean, what is going on? These are the things that we want this film to really kind of show, and these stories. Excuse me. Michaela is now married, has 2 additional children. And she put herself through EMT school. She's an EMT. They're doing great. So again, just needed that time and somebody to stand by her. And then let's see, who else is in there? Who else is in there, Lisa? Tier, Jasmine, Michaela. I think that's it. Yeah. But I have literally 14 years worth of stories like this. our average intake for a year is anywhere from 120 to 150. I think right now we're at about 45, so we're right on track to be in that. But these are moms who are reaching out for help. They, housing is non-existent, all of the things, right? Everything Lisa said. All the same problems from 1959 and earlier are still happening today. What are we doing here in this most in the richest country, right? We are supposed to be at the top of the chain here. But there isn't support, and people don't understand that no other country does adoption like the United States. We have commodified children. Billions of dollars a year. It's when I hear people and I talk to them and I hear them say, I never thought about it that way. You can't unhear it and you can't unsee it. And that's exactly what we want. And that's what this film is going to do. So yeah. We appreciate your support.
we really do. And speaking of that, another thing you can do is go to the website. It's the same website I mentioned earlier, allyouhaveIslove.com, and sign up for the newsletter, subscribe, because that's how you're going to learn everything that there is to know about the film. I haven't sent it out too regularly over the course of the last year or so because I'm just busy doing the research and all. There hasn't been that much, but as we pick up speed with production, I'm hoping, and maybe I'll even get someone to help me to send it out more regularly so that you all, the supporters, the people who want to see this film made, will have that information. And so go to the website, allyouhaveIslove.com. Oh, and did I mention there's this big old donate button there? I mean, it's just huge. You can't miss it. And if you donate by midnight tonight, see, I'm getting this down, you will get a signed copy of Relinquished. So, but please remember, you give us your address because we got to send it to you. And there's lots of other good stuff happening this month. So again, if you sign up for the newsletter, you will be privy to all of it. So let me just mention one more little piece that couple points I want to make. Then I'll show two more video clips, and then I guess we'll turn it over for questions. I want to make clear that, and I mentioned a little bit earlier about, helping people to connect the dots with all this. I know I keep talking about stories a lot, and that one of my big goals with this film is to let the first families and adoptees be heard, and it is, absolutely, and they will be. But I want to do more than just tell stories, okay? I'm really planning to bring the proof. All right, I'm not leaving any stone unturned. We're going to juxtapose those stories with interviews with world-class researchers, practitioners, specialists in medicine, psychotherapy, nursing, social work, and law. And believe me, when I say that's what I've been doing for 2 years, is talking to all these people, finding them. Some of them I found didn't work out. We weren't right for the story, right? But I found plenty that are. And, we're going to talk about topics like informed consent, the negative effects of maternal separation, hospital policy, and the need for available resources, all of that. So I just want you all to get the notion that it's, stories are important. They are important for the people telling them and the people to hear them. But I also want to bring all of this proof because I'm done. I'm done with this industry. I'm done with them. They have had the floor for too long. Okay, so now I'm going to show you so what you saw earlier, and again, I'm sorry, it still may be out of sync. They're not that long, so I apologize. Try to stay with it, I guess. I just so you know, what I'm seeing is perfect. So I'm not seeing what you're seeing. Okay. But so what you saw earlier was more about the film in terms of the stories that we're going to tell, the moms and their babies. Now, the next two things I'm going to show you are going to focus more on the industry. All right. So let's see. I already got it up here. I'm going to share again. Just to me double check everything's clicked. I wonder if I do this. I wonder if I do it like this. All right, I'm trying something a little different. Let's see. Let's see if this all right. Well, here goes. Let's see what happens.
There is money in this. There is money in the separation of that baby from its white mother, especially, so that while we are grateful for the agencies who perform this service, it is not unreasonable to wonder whether or not a bias is working with
There's an inherent conflict of interest there. Can I finish, Phil?
Sure.
Every day, I advocate for others to become parents through adoption.
Yeah, we got a cute one.
A cute baby.
We got a cute one.
If the lady from the agency can make it here, then she, I guess, would sign him over to us. And if it's done that way, you don't have to wait the 48 hours.
There are grants, there are scholarships available for the families seeking adoption.
There is a way to get your money back for expenses paid towards your adoption. How do you ask? Through the adoption tax credit.
The more I read and studied about adoption, the more concerned I was with the way that adoption is practiced in the United States today. It's no longer a social welfare program to help needy children. Instead, it is a system that feeds children into adoptive homes to satisfy the needs of adoptive parents.
I feel deeply that I need to be a mother. I feel like I will feel incomplete if I don't have that experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Your attorney will seek to end the birth mother's rights as quickly as possible after the birth. And once that happens, you can feel secure that your adoption cannot be attacked.
There's not an ethical agency in the country that wants to take a baby from a girl.
I'll take Florida, for example. Mom can sign their rights 48 hours after the baby is born, and it's automatically irrevocable. So once she signs, it becomes irrevocable and she can't change her mind.
And the adoptive parents, of course, are the winners in adoption. I recognize myself as the winner in adoption. But I think as just a member of society, I have to be concerned about the losers in adoption too. And that tends to mean both the adoptees who have no choice in the matter and the birth parents who have very little choice as well.
Okay. So was that better, I think? All right, great. Well, it's okay, the last one here. I guess it's a different, am I still sharing? Wait a minute. Give me 1 second. No, I'm not still sharing. I see. Okay, this is a different way of doing it, but I think it's good. Now, this is everyone's favorite. What you are about to see, oh my gosh, it's all real. I didn't make any of it up. They're not actors. All right, let's go. It's a little video I like to call Lawyers in Love. Okay, and here we go. Oh.
You've decided to start a family and you're thinking about adoption.
If you're watching this, you're probably thinking, I want to adopt a child, but how do I do it successfully?
Are you thinking about placing your baby for adoption? You'll want to work with an experienced adoption lawyer. It's free of charge to you, and there are so many benefits.
All of your medical expenses will be covered during your pregnancy and even 6 weeks after your delivery.
A lot of the women we have worked with have wanted to put the adoption behind them, and being intimately involved in the child's life is not helpful for them.
and not what most adoptive parents are interested in doing either. They want to know that their child is safe and secure, and then they want to get on with their lives.
North Carolina also has very strict laws controlling what kinds of payments are allowed in connection with an adoption, so that adoptive parents cannot be taken advantage of by people trying to sell babies.
Adoptive parents' biggest fear is that the birth mother will change her mind and not place the baby for adoption or take the baby back.
I think that we're pretty adoption friendly. In Arizona, when a mom signs her consent, it's irrevocable, so we have no revocation period, which many prospective adoptive parents like.
If the laws in your state, the consent laws, they don't seem fair to you, you don't want to wait 7 days for mom to change her mind, then you probably want to look outside of your state.
Your attorney will seek to end the birth mother's rights as quickly as possible after the birth. And once that happens, you can feel secure that your adoption cannot be attacked. You are the legal parents of your child.
If you are an Indiana birth mom and you are thinking about creating an adoption plan for your baby, or putting up your baby for adoption, or giving up your baby for adoption, as people commonly say, you do not have to identify the father. If you are willing to identify the father, we can oftentimes dispense with or take care of him before the baby is born.
Some adoptive parents are concerned, like, oh, if I send her photos or videos, or we call, or she sees the child, she's going to regret her decision. She's going to change her mind, and it's going to ruin our adoption case.
What do I mean by opportunity? What I mean by that is, if you look in your state right now, okay, the ratio of pregnant moms versus hopeful adoptive parents, do you even stand a chance?
It's a hugely emotional field of law, because people, they want to have kids very badly and they can't.
By the way, this is another legal aspect. Legally, no one's required to, even if you promised it, okay? Even if I promised the moon of openness, legally, we as adopted parents, we can choose to, not communicate with whoever we want. And we could choose to go back on that promise. We have over 25 years of experience working with birth mothers.
Visit our website and let us help you get the benefits and attention that you deserve. Again, it's free of charge to you, so you have nothing to lose. We look forward to speaking with you.
I'm Robert Todd, and thank you for watching.
I love that ending.
Yeah.
I love that ending.
I don't know what else there is to say after that. I mean, it really gives the full story as to how they see it, how the industry sees it. And again, that's what I'm determined to counter with this film.
Well, I feel speechless. I knew this was out there, but actually to see it summarized in rapid fire succession and in their own words, and how incriminating it is, and how contemptible it is, and as an adopted person also, I what I feel, right, and what I feel for the first families. Fully behind what you're doing here, and I know I don't speak just for myself in that, but we would, first of all, thank you for showing us the glimpses into what's going on with production. We're excited for you. I know you have a very challenging road ahead in terms of just a lot of productivity, a lot of work, and I know that the fundraising piece is, of course, crucial for that. So we're excited to be able to offer support by extending platforms to you. So thank you for coming and sharing, both Lisa and Renee. And I know Katie wanted to be here too and was not able to be, but we certainly haven't forgotten her. It's really hard to see the faces of people that I know in your documentary here. And, I've known a little what they may have gone through, but to see the grief and to know, what the loss is like from my side. I'm just appreciative that you're doing this, and it needs to be done as thoroughly as you're doing it, and with the skill with which you're clearly executing this, and the people, the credentialed people who are coming on board to support you, how important that is. And in a second here, we'll end and go into the Q&A. I would like to ask you, before we do that though, just a quick question on for me here, which is the path, the promotional path and the distribution path of the film. Do you have a vision for how you will get it out there? Would you share a little bit about that?
I do, and I would love to. Well,
you.
my first answer, and sometimes people may think I'm being silly or whatever, but I mean this, what I'm about to say. This is my philosophy. The way to get a film shown is to make a good film. I mean, that's it. There is no other thing to do. If it's good, if it's great, people will show it. So my goal, and my only goal, is to have this film make it onto a major streaming platform. And I don't really care. Netflix, Hulu, HBO. I love some HBO. All right. But any of them. And so what you do is you get a distributor to promote the film, to represent the film, if you will. There's also, there's two ways to do it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I could, and it's not really that interesting. This is probably the least interesting part about filmmaking, is distribution. You can do film festivals, and that's really exciting, and it's very expensive. Most people wouldn't assume that, but I'm here to tell you it is. You have to pay to get into every festival, and then you may not get in. So it's all money spent. You have to promote it. Again, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. It's fun. It's occasionally you hear of that story where some film, Netflix just bought it on site, and that's nice when it happens, and it could happen here. But then the other route is with a distributor who just, takes it on as a representative. It's kind of like having a representative if you're an actor or a writer or whatever. It's just the film's representative, and they believe in it. And that's what I'm saying. If it's a good film, a great film, someone will surely believe in it and say, yes, I want to represent this film. Then they go out to all of the various entities and pitch it. And and so I'm totally confident that will be successful. Here's I'm going to let you in on a little secret. What I do know is that what streamers or any promote, we'll stick with streamers. They will not take on films that are similar. And even if you're, as the viewer, you're watching them going, well, I want to know more. Don't tell me that. Show me everything. If it's even like within the same realm, films in the same realm, in the same neighborhood, they're like, we have one of those. So that is something that I'm keeping my eye on. It's something I am, slightly concerned about. If somebody basically should beat us to the punch. And here's the thing, again, I want this to be our voices. We're the ones telling this in our way. If some industry piece some adoption industry piece ends up coming out and beating us, and let's say Netflix goes with it, how would they know anyway? And then we come along and they're going to be like, didn't we do an adoption documentary last year or 6 months, whatever? And that can be a real problem. So that's my only, my little bit of angst that I have in getting this done. I mean, of course I want to get it done as quickly as possible for several reasons. I think the window's wide open right now. I just feel really good about the window that I'm looking out, right? And saying, this is the time. I'll also admit I would like to get on with my life at some point. I'm going to admit that, although this has been fun and just so meaningful. It's changed my life beyond meaningful. But, every artist, you really just want to get it done. You don't really want the painting to just sit on the easel, for your whole life. So I'd like to get it done. But that other thing concerns me because, as I mentioned, how I feel about this window that is now open to this, I don't know what other people are doing, and I don't know what other points of view might end up, on the screen. And that does concern me. So does that answer it, or is there any more?
Absolutely. And it's like the space race.
Yeah.
For the screen.
Yeah.
We certainly will wish for your success ahead of any lesser efforts or any efforts that are skewed the wrong direction, because we know the importance of what you're doing. We appreciate it. So I want to thank you both. And again, also Katie, who couldn't be here, for spending the night here talking to us about this and showing us what's in the works. It's exciting, but it's mixed with the excitement. There's all the feelings too. I'm sure you feel that every single day working on this, both of you and all of you involved. But again, you have our thanks for that, and from NAAP. And I think what we'll do, if Jen is ready, we'll stop the recording here. Everybody just stay on, and we definitely would love to have a few minutes of Q&A with you if you'd be open for that. And for everybody who has joined us, thanks for coming. Thanks for supporting the work that both Saving Our Sisters is doing. And then all you have is love. I'm sorry, I don't want to confuse you with the song title. And we look forward to updates from you. And thanks for promoting the website too, where people can go, I imagine, and find updates. So again, thanks very much for being here.
Thank you.